Oh, welcome to the channel to where I fix stuff. Today we got this Brunsviga 13RK. This is from the mid-50s around there. And it's actually pretty fancy for a hand-driven pinwheel calculator. See, it's got 3 display areas. So you got your accumulator down here, counter register up here, and then this is your input display. So when you slide this down, you can read 6 here or you can read 6 there. And it also has, so this here is your accumulator clearing, this here is your counter clearing, and then this over here is your input clearing. But, actually when I clear this, I clear the input too. You see that? So if I put this down, that's because I have this setting here. If I set this to here, it only clears the counter. But you can clear all 3 by this register, or this lever here. So this will clear the accumulator always, it'll clear the counter always, and if you have this lever set backwards, it'll clear the input too. If you have this set forwards, it'll only clear the accumulator and the counter. That's pretty fancy. It has the easy tab shift there where you can push and drag. And also something that's pretty cool too is it has shift from here. So from the crank you can shift it as well, which is pretty nice. For division, you don't have to take your hand off from over here. You can just shift right from the crank. That's pretty cool. Something this machine also has is back transfer from the accumulator to the input. We'll get to that in a minute. This machine seems to work pretty okay. It's a little bit sticky. The stickiest thing is this. It doesn't always want to return back, see? So that's sticky. You can see the counter register is pretty dirty, kind of hard to read, especially that one. There's some generic blue stuff on it. The accumulator is not bad, but it's kind of dirty. So we got this apart. We'll see if we can clean up some of that stuff, see if we can free this up so it works properly, and then we'll demonstrate the back transfer. Other than that, it's just your regular pinwheel calculator. Let's see. Just enter numbers as usual. One interesting thing is if you do subtraction, watch the register up here. You can see actually that the digits changed to all orange, and I don't know if you noticed, but it carried all the way across. So basically the way that they've done this, and you can see when we open this up, is they have 2 sets of digits on each wheel, and then there's a sliding window. So watch when I clear it. You see the window moved over a little bit. Now it's showing the white digits again. And so when you turn it backwards, it shifts to show the orange digits for subtraction, and then adds 1 so that it reads, all zeros and a 1. Then it carried across. So kind of overdone a little bit in my opinion. Marchant had 10s carry on their accumulator, made it much simpler, but then again, they didn't have the orange digits. I guess, maybe they assume people were used to seeing the orange digits for counter subtractions from, on the old style machines that didn't have, 10s carry on the accumulator, that just had, orange digits counted up one way for subtraction and white digits counted the other way for addition. So I don't know if that's why. Maybe they just assumed people were used to the orange digits for counting subtractions, so they go with that fancy sliding window thing. But anyway, kind of cool. Alright, so let's see if we can open this thing up. Looks like there's 2 plates here. This plate I think goes around the back. So let's see if we can get these 2 screws out first. Okay. This screwdriver might be too fat. Maybe it'll work. Just right on the borderline of being too fat for these screws. Yeah, unfortunately got a little bit of scratches on the Brunsviga over there, but oh well. To check too, see if there's any. Yeah, okay, there's 2 screws on the back, so. And this is anything like the Nova Brunsviga, which I've seen. I don't have one, but I've seen pictures of and videos of the internal mechanism on that. It seems overcomplicated for what it is really. I'll have to double check these screws. Not all of them are the same length. This is a shorter one here. So I think this should come off now. Yep. You can get some of that blue stuff off of there. There's a little bit of dirt, but not too bad. It seems like these pinwheel discs are copper or something, I'm not sure. Look at, almost looks like copper, just copper plated, glass plated. That's kind of interesting. Would have expected those to be stamped steel of some type. Get the rest of these out. And there's two on the back here. Let's see if I can do that real quick. And then maybe all we need to take off. I might take off this. There's another plate down on the. This one's going to be difficult. Alright, let me see if I can get that screw out. It's not working. Alright, so take all the covers off now. You can see up in there the double sets of digits. There's a 0 next to the 9, and then the window just slides back and forth to, display or hide one or the other one. You can see here too, this lever just moves that gear back and forth down in there. So when it's in this position, that's counter only clear. When it's in this position, I don't know if you can really see, but there is a kind of like a ramp on the back of that gear. Be able to see or not. So I can't see. See, there's the ramp there. See it coming around there? So when you shift it over, that ramp catches on a piece of that brass piece there and turns both shafts. So the sticky part is this over here. Still can't really see. No, oh, this just comes off. That's useful. Now maybe we can see. Well, not really. I have to see if I can take this side off. It looks like the main frame of the machine is this piece and this piece, so should be able to take this side off without any issues, without anything falling apart, I should say. Just take this handle off and take that side off and see if we can get some oil into that mechanism. Oh, that's one hell of a gear train for a pinwheel calculator. This is definitely more complicated than the old line Marchants. Quite a few gears in there for just a basic little pinwheel calculator. Let's see which ones these turn. As you can see, the transfer motion here. So they got this gear driving that gear, driving this gear behind it, driving this gear to this gear to this gear, I guess to this gear. That's what they've done. Seems a little excessive, but so one hell of a gear chain for a pinwheel calculator. So this is the clearing shaft here, so I'm guessing this gear train is just for clearing. I'm not sure what this shaft goes across to. I have to take the other side off to look at that, but this is the, actually this feels pretty free, to be honest. Right, this is what was, unless it was just the clearing mechanism up here that was sticking. If you look, see this gear here goes through and drives gear right there. You can see it wiggling, which drives the gear, this gear up here. So I have to see where the actual stickiness is. See if I can apply the camera. So this is on here like that. Yeah, it looks like either this is sticky. That seems pretty free. It must just be either that or there's a spring missing or something. Well, there's something down below that's driving it, but none of these pieces seem particularly sticky, so I'll have to... Well, you know what it is? It's this. It is this gear train over here. See, this is free. This is free. This piece is stiff. See how this wiggles and this doesn't? So this is the piece that's gumming things up. So let me see if I can get some oil on that. I might even have to take the bottom off of this thing because that shaft runs all the way through. I'm not sure what else is on that. So, all right. Definitely was not expecting this many gears inside this little calculator here. I wonder if I can get this in the light, but I took the back off. You can see that drum down in there. It's got some dried grease on it. That's the drum that is on the other side of our sticky gear down here. So there's a plenty of dried grease on that, which is probably what's holding it up. So, what we expected it would be. So I already put some oil on the outside. That didn't really do much. I'm gonna put some oil on the inside. If that doesn't work, like the oil's not gonna run in. I see there is a screw here. Like maybe you can take that the bushing out, but I'm not sure how you'd get the gear off to get at that screw. There's one on either side. Not too sure about that. So you have to take the whole machine off the base and something. Not sure. So we'll take a look at that. See if we can free that up, and then from there I think it'll just be cleanup on this. Alright, something I've learned playing around with this, you actually have to be pretty careful. What I was doing was I was pulling this up and then kind of like working it back and forth without like completing a full cycle. But it turns out if you do that, it actually, when this handle is up, these wheels are kind of like free on the shaft somewhat. And if you wiggle this and these wheels start to move, they can actually get out of time with the adjustment here. And then if that happens, these wheels can like spin all over the place, and then they don't always like line back up, and then they don't lock in. And it took me a little bit to figure out what exactly was going on, because I looked at this and all these wheels were like all over the place, even though all these were at 0. And then I tried clearing it again, and then it brought them all back to 0, but then some of these were like out at, different places. So it was kind of confusing at first, but what I realized was, so I'm not sure if you can see it, but the whole shaft kind of like slides over. You can see how there's a gap appearing on that side. Well, maybe it doesn't slide over as much as I thought, but apparently it can slide over, and when it slides over, it releases these wheels from the shaft, and then they can slide back and forth and rotate out of position. So maybe it wasn't supposed to slide over, but it did slide over somehow. As you can see, if I can get something to point with, you can see there's a little tiny gap right down in there. And see how that moves a little bit? So that's a engagement there. This, and see how it springs back and then latches in again. So that hits against that and then kind of like ramps up. So you can see the ramp coming around, and then it spring loads in. So what had happened was this was like either pushed out or this whole drum was pushed over somewhat. And I think this whole drum was pushed over somewhat. I think I pushed it on this side to get it back in. But anyway, don't release this and then wiggle it back and forth. Always complete a full cycle. Actually, you can see this one has come loose now. See, this one's not in the right position anymore. See if it's... Yeah, see, I can move this over and then kind of lock it back in. So these are free. And now see the shaft has not... So So now it's locked in. So before it wasn't locked in. So if I go up and then come back, see, now these are going to be free. You have to go up and then complete the cycle for them to lock in. So now they're loose, but they won't move enough to get out of position. Actually, I kind of don't like how loose they are, but I guess that's the way it's supposed to be. Actually, surprisingly loose on there. Anyway, something to be careful about. It looks like these are drifting now. Something to look into, because you can see now both of these have drifted. So we'll pull this up, see if we can get them to lock back in. Now it's messed up again. Alright, now I gotta play with this and see if I can get all these things to line back up. To investigate that, why that's happening. You shouldn't be. You can see when I slide them over, they disengage from these. Sure that they all engage appropriately. I'm not quite sure how they're getting. There we go. Yeah, that's something I'll have to see what's going on with that. I wonder if that's like there's like a latch or something that's sticking and not engaging to latch them in place, or some kind of stop or something. So we'll have to check into that further. But anyway, not making a whole lot of progress here. I did try and see if I could get, there's a taper pin holding this in. I did give it a few whacks. If I get it out, it's not coming out. And I really don't want to, try and drill it out all the way down in there. It's on the back side of that gear. So probably just keep oiling it and working it and see if I can get that to loosen up. I don't see any other way in there. Maybe you could like put the pliers or something on those screws and try and turn them out, but it'd be pretty difficult. So I'm going to keep seeing if I can get that to loosen up and keep my eye on these indicators here. It's an interesting issue, those keep getting out of line. So what I ended up doing was this gear, which used to be right in here, was held on just by this little, it's just a bent piece of wire. They've got a slit in the side of the gear there, and then there's a slit in the shaft, and that piece of wire just went in that slit there and kept the gear from coming off. Just kind of, pushed over the top like that, and then that one leg went through that slit into the slit in the shaft. So I just took that out, and that freed up this, so I could work on it without, continually working this and potentially messing these numbers up. We'll have to keep an eye on that though. But after a little application of some oil and some solvents and some more oil, now you can see that springs back nicely. So I think I can put a little bit of oil on this shaft. Just a little bit on the inside of the gear here. And I think this will just go right back on like that. Have to get that piece on the inside yet, but yep, springs right back. So hopefully that should be fixed. So I'll put this piece back on the inside and we can go from there. Now little spring clips are going to be much more annoying than I thought it would be. Of course, there's no way to get it on once the gear is on. You have very limited space to work around here, and it kept pinging off different directions. So what I ended up doing was I put the swing clip on first, and how I did that was because if you just try and push it on, then this end is going to just go, in through the hole and into the center and not snap on. So it turns out that this Harbor Freight screwdriver was actually the right size to go right through the center of the gear. So I put it on like that with the spring clip side facing out, then put the spring clip on, then shut this off. So now it's on there, so theoretically, I just put a little bit of oil on it. It should just snap right on there, hopefully. Let's find out. So we'll just make sure this is all the way home, this up there. Ideally, and we'll just, I have to get a little bit of help so I can lift up the end a little bit here without sending it off. No. It's not going to. I'm just going to fight with that for a minute. Alright, now it's on. Yeah, I just had to use the pick thing here a little bit to push it up from the inside and then push it on. Now, theoretically, if we enter some numbers here, wish my hands are oily, so I'm getting oil over these things, but yep, it springs right back. So hopefully that should be good. Like I said, still have to watch out for those getting messed up. The next thing we can do is take this little sliding window off here. These actually spring, well, you can't see anything because it's on a frame. Let's move this. It's actually pretty heavy for how small it is. It's a very dense machine. It's actually spring loaded, so I push it over. See the orange ones, up to the white ones. Probably have to take that off to see if I can clean up the rest of the digits in the back. Like you see, the 6 looks fine. The rest of the digits in the back don't look that bad, so hopefully it's just the zeros. So you can just pop that off real quick and clean those up. And the orange ones look pretty decent, the 9s there. So, yeah, there's some dirt here on the pinwheel drum. If we can clean that off. Yeah, other than that, I think we might be okay. And then I'll show you later with the back transfers. You pull this up and then forward a little bit, and that's when you do your back transfer, but we'll do that later. See, that one jumped out of place again. And now they're going out of place again. So something is up with this. Not. It's very strange. See, look how loose these are. That shouldn't be the case. So something is up with this not returning all the way home. I'll have to look into that more. I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here, this piece, watch what happens as I go up. See how that pops out? And all the way at the top, it pops back in. Now, there's a little bit of a detent, like it feels like a detent there, and then pop, and then return. So I wonder if maybe, because, you know, if you go past that, that's when it goes into back transfer mode, I guess. It doesn't even look like it's going to do that now. I think anyway. That's interesting. Anyway, after that, it's kind of sticky for some reason. It doesn't seem like it wants to go into back transfer mode. We'll have to look into that. But I wonder if that is the reason what's happening. Like I wasn't pulling it all the way forward because I didn't want to go into back transfer mode. So maybe I wasn't pulling it forward far enough to complete the cycle, and that's what was leaving those loose, perhaps. I have to keep an eye on it and see, to make sure that we always clear it full each time. And now I have to see why back transfer is not cooperating. Interesting. Sure, we're jamming that up. But anyway, hopefully that was just the issue there. Like I said, I'll have to keep our eye on that. Alright, so I think I found the issue. When I put the gear back on the first time, there was a little bit of play in this, so you see there's some play now. And I put it so that this was straight, straight back. And, because I just assumed that was right, because I had no other, nothing else to go by. I don't know exactly how it was when I took it off, because it's not, you know, even now, like when you look at it, I can, this over here, like it's not much of an angle now. It's, you know, maybe 10 degrees, 10, 15 degrees. It's not much elevation there. So I put it on straight. You know, that's the only thing I could think of that we had changed that would cause the back transfer to stop working. So I took it off, and then I put it so that it was angled up slightly, and now you can see that, well, aside from it sticking a little bit there, that click happens. I mean, you can't really see that the click happens with no effort, but basically that click that I was saying before took some extra effort to get is now no extra effort. It happens right before the extra, you can feel a little bit of a detent there. So it happens right before that, so that seems to be fixed. It should be pretty easy to go all the way on that now. And if I push forward, you can see I can now push all the way forward and the register moves back a little bit. So our back transfer seems to be working now. So that seems to have fixed that issue. That was just my mistake in reassembly. Now, just to get an idea of how dirty this pinwheel drum is, I mean, a piece of paper towel, so I don't get oil over the knob, which I've already got oil over everything else, so I have to clean everything anyway. But so this is the top of the pinwheel drum here. You can see, and as I rotate this around, that's the bottom. It's quite a contrast there. Really shiny. And that's back to the top again. Now, some of that will be tarnish. It's not all dirt. I'm not going to worry too much about the tarnish. It's not going to, you know, you can't see that, and it's not going to affect anything anyway. So I'm just going to worry about the dirt. You can see some of the dirt there, but you know, it's quite a difference there. So I might take this other side off just to see what kind of gear change under that side and make sure everything gets nice and oiled. I won't be able to come all the way off because you can see they just have a, well, maybe you can see if I move this out of the way. They just have a little hole here for this rod, so if I slide this off, it's going to hit against this. Maybe you could wiggle it out. Not sure if it's worthwhile just to get some oil on stuff, but anyway, so hopefully now that piece will be completely fixed and reliable. That input clearing there. So I have to clean up the register wheels, some dirt there, still dirt up there. Interestingly enough, there doesn't seem to be any dirt on those. It's kind of funny. Anyway, get back to cleaning, and hopefully we can put it back together and do a little demonstration. Alright, so you see that I cleaned up pretty well. Those are all like visible zeros now. The plate cleaned up pretty well too, and so did this one. Just used some rubbing alcohol. You can see all the ink and stuff that came off of there. So I don't know whether like this was used in a printing shop or someone just had like a really bad day with their fountain pen, or what exactly happened here. Clean these up. Like I said, I'm not going to polish them. That's, you know, that's fine. Oiled that up. I still have to oil a bunch of other stuff. I didn't want to clean. You can see there's still some blue, like little tint of blue here and there. I don't want to clean too hard because I'm not sure if the rubbing alcohol is actually, you know, taking a little bit of the paint off. And when I first looked at this machine, it looked kind of goldish, but after cleaning here, it's starting to look silver. So I'm not sure if it's starting to take, you know, some of the paint off, or whether the machine actually was silver and just, you know, years of dirt and probably several layers of nicotine tar have made it look gold, or what the deal is. But it's gonna, I just cleaned it up so that, you know, these numbers are legible again. You can see the numbers down there. I think you can see that in the camera. There's numbers down here too, 1 to 13. Those are all legible. I'll take this plate off and, you know, clean up. That one's not so good, and see if there's anything dirty under there. And just make sure that, you know, everything is legible and clear. I'm not going to worry too much. I will try and see if I can clean this up. You can see numbers down here are not super legible. You can kind of make them out, but there's a pretty good helping of blue on top of that. So see if I can clean that up somewhat, hopefully not take the paint off. Yeah. these are pretty smooth, but then again, they were pretty smooth before, so no spectacular change there. But yeah, just more cleaning and oiling, and then I think we can do a little demonstration here. Yeah, so you see I've got all the covers back on, cleaned up decently well. There's still a little bit of blue here and there, different places, but like a little bit there. But I'm not going to worry about that. Like I said, as long as all the numbers are visible and readable, which they are. I'm not quite sure what happened there. You know, whether those numbers started to rub off and someone tried to repaint them or what. Not quite sure. I don't think it's due to my cleaning, because the actual, like if you look down at it, like the actual indentation is kind of like gone. So whether it didn't get stamped properly or whether it started to wear down. The weird part is it seems like the hammer tone finish around it seems to be fine. So not quite sure what happened there. Anyway, so the issue we were having with these digit wheels floating, I think I realized now, as I was putting this back together, how that's supposed to be mitigated. And if you look closely at this, you can see how there's the cover for it, the mask, or whatever you want to call it, actually has these little like rods that go down in between the digits. And those are actually decently thick, so those actually go down in between each of the wheels, and as far as I can tell, that's what's supposed to keep the wheels from, you know, sliding back and forth and getting misaligned and spinning out of control like we were saying before. I don't really like that they've done it that way, because these wheels are just plastic, so now you've got plastic parts bearing on the metal part and just like on the very edge of the plastic wheel. So not a huge fan of the way they did that. I don't know why they couldn't put, you know, spacers on the shaft or something. It seems kind of weird that they would come with like what seems to me to be a hacky solution there, and then they went like way overboard with the gear train on this side. Seems kind of weird. But anyway, I think that should prevent the issue we were having, but it's kind of a weird setup. I did clean up all the digit wheels. These ones cleaned up fine with rubbing alcohol. These ones did not, so I ended up using some lacquer thinner. And as you can see, it didn't touch the paint, like the actual digit paint. I'm not sure if that's actual paint or whether, you know, it's like some kind of just inset plastic or whatever. However, it did make the wheels kind of shiny. Not sure if you can see it or not, but the actual black plastic now is kind of shiny. So that means it probably started to dissolve a little bit. So I would say if you're going to clean these with lacquer thinner, just proceed with extreme caution. But I think it'll be okay. Other than just getting a little bit shiny, there's no other noticeable effects from that. They're all pretty clear. So I'm going to be fine with this. Let's do a little demonstration here. So we can do just adding 1, 2, 3. Yep, that seems to work. Here you can see that. And we've got that set up there, so this should clear everything. And it does. You can do some subtraction, let's say 43. So you can minus, you know, something like 7. Oops, I'll just add it. And yep, that seems to work. Try multiplication. And because this has carry on the counter mechanism, you can use a shortcut multiplication. So we want to enter 6 here, do 625 times 625, we can just go backwards until this reads 6, and shift over, and then add 1. And you can see it has the same effect. Basically, it has the same effect of adding, 10 extra, and then subtracting 4 instead of adding 6. So it's just, less cycles you have to crank. Instead of cranking it 6 times, you only had to crank it 5 times. And it's just a little shortcut there. So yeah, that works. 625 times 625 is 306.25. And now, something cool we can do is, say we wanted to do 625 to the 4th power. So right now we just have it squared, but if we wanted to multiply, 625 times 625 625 times 625 times 625 times 625, that we do the 4th power. What we would have to do usually is, multiply 625 times 625, and then take this result, multiply by 625, and then take that result and multiply again by 625. But because this says back transfer, what we can do, we know that this is 625 squared, so if we multiply this squared, that would be 625 to the 4th. So what we can do is we can clear out our counter and input, and then if we pull this lever all the way forward, see the carriage moves over just a little tiny bit, and then if we clear the accumulator, you'll see that now it transferred that number back up here to the input. So now we can multiply this number by itself, which you don't have to enter because we just transferred it back. So now we're going to enter, multiply 5 times in this column, and 2 times, and we can use our shortcut again. 0 there, and then we can use shortcut for 9. And there we go. So now we have 625 to the 4th power. So cool feature of the back transfer there. We can clear that out. Now we can do division. Sure, we are all the way over there. So we'll do 5. Kind of one of the annoying things about this is when the carriage is all the way over, you'll see that from here over, these input digits don't mesh with the carriage, with the accumulator. So anything you enter on here won't be added when the carriage is over in this position, which is kind of a weird effect. Usually these machines will have enough capacity to always cover all the input, but this one they didn't for some reason. Anyway, so we'll add this. And we can change to 1, 1, 3, turn that to only clear the counter, because we don't want to clear the inputs, and we just inputted something. Change this back to clear everything. And now we will subtract. Not too far that time. Very easy to overshoot when you're doing this, to accidentally do an extra crank, extra subtraction. See, like I heard the bell, but I can't go backwards now because I've already started the next cycle, so I have to complete that, then go back 2 cycles. Again, the same thing happened there. And there we go. Missing my decimal pointers up here, but you can see 3.1415929. So that works. You can see how it changed to the orange digits for counting subtractions. Kind of an interesting thing they did there. Just out of that extra sliding window complication, just to make it display orange digits for subtraction. There's something like that, like they overcomplicated that, and then this is the best they could come up with to align these input display digits. Just seems kind of weird to me, but anyway, this seems to be working. It's a pretty smooth mechanism overall. Even when you're adding, like say I want to subtract one. Like, you really don't notice. It's barely noticeable the additional drag of driving all these digits. So it's a pretty smooth mechanism. It's pretty cool. This is the only machine that I know of that you can clear all the registers from just one lever. This one lever will clear counter, input, and accumulator. I know that some other machines, had the combined clearing of accumulator and counter, but this is the only one I've seen that has input, counter, and accumulator all on one lever, so that's pretty cool. Like I said, the only thing that I really don't like about this machine is the way they've, aligned the digits there with just shoving these little rods in between the edge of those discs. Just seems kind of hacky to me, but anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Not really much of a repair. There's only one part that was kind of sticky. A little bit of a cleanup. Might clean up a little bit more down here. It is some cleanup, but not all the dirt came off. And it's kind of a balance between getting all the dirt off and starting to take the paint off, which is why I left some of the blue here. I don't want to start getting the paint off. But anyway, we'll do this quick little look at this Brunsviga. This is RK13 or something like that. And thank you for watching.